Hello, I'm Breach Burke, and this is a tarot reading I'm doing for Liminal Tarot for the week of October 1st through October 7th, 2023. As always, when you have general readings online, whenever you get this reading, there's apparently a message in it that is meant for you, so don't necessarily worry that it's a different week or a different time period. If you're watching this, then it's, for whatever reason, there's something you need to hear. Now, I'm going to do our weekly astrological reading. This month is actually going to be quite a difficult, I don't want to say it's a difficult month. There's going to be two eclipses coming in this month. And let's see how we're doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was right. Okay, I have to count my cards and my positions here. So we have two eclipses coming up this month. We've just had a full moon in Aries, and that full moon, in spite of the fact that it's Aries and that it can bring up a lot of fire and a lot of passion, some people maybe have felt very irritable this week or very frustrated with different things, or just feeling very impatient, like you need to get on with something. In general, the astrologers that I follow have suggested that this Aries moon was not necessarily a very tempestuous one. It wasn't one that created a whole lot of difficulty for people as a general rule, unless you fell into certain signs and certain positions. However, October, we do have two eclipses. We have one on the 14th and we have one on the 28th. So after this week, the first one is a solar eclipse, the second is a lunar eclipse. The first one's in Libra, the second one's in Taurus. Now, particularly the mid-month one seems like it's going to be very significant. I've been reading for a lot of people this week, and I feel like there's something around that eclipse. I keep getting the Eight of Cups, which the Eight of Cups is a card of like walking away from something that has served you in the past. But Eight of Cups on the Rider-Waite version it looks like a little moon looking down, or maybe even a sun. But what it actually is the moon going in front of the sun. It is actually a card of eclipse. And for some reason, I feel like in spite of any other meaning of the Eight of Cups, that's come up a lot this week, that somehow the eclipse is going to be significant in a lot of people's affairs. So keep that in mind, that there's going to be this energy that could create a lot of unexpected situations, that could create some upsets, and it may make you, it can create certain kinds of difficulties and things that are that are meant to be transformative. I think with the eclipse, we are moving into this space where these old ways of doing things have to go away. I know that Venus has an aspect to Uranus, which can bring surprises in relationships. And, Uranus's influence in general seems to also be, have a relationship to this eclipse as well. So, so this could be a time of surprises, messages. They don't have to be bad, okay? I don't want to necessarily say it's going to be negative, but it could shake things up. There's a lot of game-changing energy, I guess is the way that I want to put it. So today, in addition to my cartouche cards, I am using the Crowley Thoth deck today. My big version, I have a mini version of this as well. But this is going to be our deck for today that I'm going to use to read this. Now, as I've said, if you're familiar with my readings, I read astrologically, and so I read it by astrological house, and I usually use my cartouche deck, which is my Egyptian cards. I've had several different versions of this deck. I think this is my third one. I have another mini one also that I keep with me, and then I have my original one. But that deck I've been using a very long time, and I'm comfortable with that in terms of doing readings. And I do it with a tarot deck or a Lenormand deck of some sort to amplify the card, to try to get more meaning out of what each house means. So let's begin at the beginning. We'll start with Aries, which is the first house. Now, the first house has to do with you, your personality, how you present yourself to the world. And what we have here in the first house is we have the Sphinx. Okay. So the Sphinx is about excavating. This is about uncovering. You are learning things about yourself. and your focus needs to be on yourself, because this often implies that there are things that are hidden, things that we are not looking at. And we need to be looking at them. It's, you know, and they're, in this particular period of time, this kind of energy is coming out, and we're starting to learn certain new things about ourselves. We may even get some information about how others are seeing us, that maybe things that surprise us in some way. But Sphinx also can come up when we're in a position where we don't necessarily want to assert ourselves. We may want to just sit back and watch and see what plays out in a particular situation without necessarily putting ourselves into it. We have it with the Ace of Wands. So the Ace of Wands this is the root of fire. This is very fiery energy. But again, there's a newness to this. And it's a newness that you might be hiding from people right now. Like you may feel new energy. You may have a new interest in something, or a new passion, something that's waking you up and making you feel alive. I mean, this is very strong impassioned fire energy. But you may be hiding this from people right now. Okay, this may be something, or it just may be that it's a surprise eruption. It's something you're learning about yourself at the moment. Let's go into the second house. This is the Taurus energy. Okay, now this is interesting because we see the Ten of Pentacles. So this indicates, this is actually a very good omen for money. Ten of Pentacles is the culmination of, at least within the numbers, of the suit of Pentacles. And so this is definitely the idea of being financially secure and established. Of course, we have it with the water card. So water often indicates money that flows in and flows out again just as fast. So if you've been having a paycheck to paycheck kind of month, there's a suggestion here that there's going to be some money coming in. Now, the one thing also about this card is that it sometimes has to do with legacies or with inheritances or some kind of shared money. Now, this is not in the house of shared money. The house of shared money is the 8th house. And my quick look at it is I see the twins. So there is this concept of shared money coming from some other person in this particular case. But so I don't know. So this could indicate that if you're having financial difficulties, there could be family help, or there could be money coming in from family in some other way, legal situation. Maybe for some people it does mean a legacy or an inheritance, but there's definitely this idea of money, a lot of money coming in. But at the moment, this may be a paycheck to paycheck kind of a time for some people. And there may be concerns about, it's, here comes the money, and there it goes again. So, but I don't know. To me, this is hopeful that there is going to be some kind of financial stability. But the tens tend to have a community or a family kind of a feel to them. So whether it has literally to do with your family or just some kind of money you're receiving from some situation or someplace that's family-like, there is this idea though of establishing a legacy and having security. So ultimately, I think people who are having money difficulties, this indicates it's going to be fine. Now, third house is Gemini, and that has to do with all the things we associate with Mercury, which is communication, short journeys, rather than long journeys, thinking and thought, communication in a more superficial sense, not necessarily, deep philosophical conversations, which are more the domain of the 9th house. They also has to do with siblings sometimes. So for some of you, this could apply to a brother or sister. But what we have here, well, actually, it's interesting. This is the house that's ruled by Mercury, which is air, and we've got double air. We've got the air card, which is literally just everything I just implied in the third house. So this definitely indicates messages that are coming in, and we have it with the Knight of Swords. So this is more air. I mean, swords are the air element. This is something coming in, and it's coming in fast. So there are messages heading straight towards you about something. This doesn't particularly say what. I imagine it will be different for each person because this is a general reading. But there is definitely the idea of information coming in very, very fast, so be prepared. I feel like there's going to be new messages and new stuff that's just happening that's come out of the blue. Okay, so now let's look at the 4th house, which is the house of Cancer. Cancer is the home, your environment, your domestic situation, also your sense of feeling personally secure, and your sense of, this is the house where we might want to withdraw, like be in our little cocoon. It's Cancer energy, very emotional, and also frequently has to do with the mother. So, and wow, we have the mother card in the mother house. So for some of you, this does have to do with your mother. Okay, fourth house, we have, okay, so this is a house where we're seeing Seth. Seth is the Stormbringer. And when Seth appears in a reading, it generally indicates an obstacle of some kind or some kind of an upset. So, but we have this with the Ankh. Now, the Ankh can imply one of two things. The Ankh is a card of love, sometimes literally romantic love. But in this particular position, I don't think it has to do with romantic love. It has more to do with a feeling of being alive and that life force. So this card, I think, sometimes can show up when we are, when we are impassioned about something or dedicated to something we love. It does not have to be a person. It can just be a situation. So I don't know. There's this idea of, there's this strong life and potentially love energy coming into the fourth house. Sometimes, well, I don't know. I don't think I want to go there with that. But let's just say that this is a strong energy that's something that's connected to life, livelihood, in the sense of what makes you feel alive, not just what makes you money. What literally makes you feel like you are here, present, and alive. That seems to be whatever obstacles are happening in the fourth house right now. Whatever things, maybe it's literal difficulties with your home. Maybe you're having issues with your mom. Maybe you're just feeling insecure. This definitely seems to be the suggestion of bringing love into the situation, bringing passion into a situation, focusing on what it is that you really want. That's a lot of the energy that surrounds this card. And Empress, again, can literally have to do with someone's mother, but it can also just be about seeds that you're planting that are about to bear fruit. This is a card of abundance, and I feel like connected to this, for some people, this could just mean that, you may have some worries about things. Maybe it's about finances moving in and out and what that's going to mean to your stability and so forth. But this is saying that, this is a suggestion of abundance coming in, of something that's growing. So it's saying just continue to focus on your love, what you love. Don't decide that you have to do something to get off the bar, like, well, okay, I'm gonna have to do this horrible thing now because I want to make sure I have a ton of money or something. Like you want to make sure whatever you're doing and whatever you're committed to is what's really authentic to you, I guess, for a better way of putting it. I hope that makes sense. Fifth house here, this has to do with Leo energy. And Leo is Leo energy is connected to our creativity, to the things we create. It can literally have to do with somebody's children, if they have children. And Leo energy is also about leisure, about enjoyment, about how you get out, have fun, and present yourself to people. Now we have Thoth here. So Thoth is interesting. I should also mention love affairs. So there's something here about divine timing, or about something that is, for lack of a better term, fated. Like, so it could be an encounter with somebody that is, again, I don't like to use the word destined, but there's something significant about it. Like it's happening at a particular time for what seems like a particular reason. Okay, now we're having this with the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is the card, it says it's a card of strength, and it can be a card of strength. It can be a card, the message of this card can be, if you're exhausted from doing something, it may be saying just hang tight, you're almost there. There's a sense of you're almost there. For some people, it's coming into my head that this 9 weeks, I always connect wands with weeks and timing. For some reason, 9 weeks is important for somebody. I don't know why. Timing is not always a thing with this, but that did just jump into my head. So there is a possibility there. This can also have to do with things that drain our energy. We typically see, like in the Rider-Waite deck, that this card will show a man kind of leaning on a wand or a stave, and he's kind of looking behind him in a way that suggests he's being vigilant, that he's like on guard for something, and he's surrounded by all of these wands. So there's the idea that one is waiting expectantly for something. So if we're looking at that with timing, there could be either a creative project you're looking to come to fruition. It could be a concern about a child. There may be something you're waiting on that you want to see where something's going to go, or it could have to do with a love affair. But nonetheless, there's this idea that there's something here that you may be tired and feeling like you're not sure if you're going to make it through the finish line on this, but I feel like it's saying just hang in there because the right time for something is coming up. So take that as it resonates. It doesn't have to do with a person. It may have to do with a project or a situation. So keep that in mind. I think in terms of the idea of leisure, there may be this idea that that at this time, maybe you are trying to, you might feel like your energy is drained and perhaps that you even need a recharge at this point. In which case, Thoth might have more of a health aspect, like think about your mental health. So that may apply for some of you as well. Okay, 6th house is the house of Virgo. This is the house that, speaking of health, does have to do specifically with health concerns. And Virgo, this is also the house of our worries, our anxieties, and what we do for work. And for some of you, it'll have to do with your pets as well. So we have this the 6th house energy. Now we have Horus here. So Horus is, interestingly, it's a card of health in the health house. So it's generally a card of good health. For some people, it might just be a reminder to focus on your health. I don't deal with health and medical questions at all in these kinds of readings, so I don't like to suggest that this has to do with anything medical for any particular person, and I don't think that's what it means here. I think it's more of a general admonition to focus on your health, especially if you have been engaged in unhealthy habits recently. You have it with the Queen of Wands, so again, there's more fire here. There's more determination to do something, to get it right, to charge ahead and do whatever it is that you want to do. So there's a strong, impassioned energy here. This is very strong. Usually I think Queen of Wands gets more associated with Sagittarius energy, but it really can have to do with any kind of fiery energy. Although, to be clear, it doesn't necessarily have to do with somebody who's a fire sign. It may just have to be, this kind of energy. Queen of Wands shows up, and that's somebody, people typically love or hate the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands either comes across as somebody who's very arrogant and bossy and just thinks they're better, which I don't get this, not with this. I don't get the sense of that with this. This is more the idea of somebody who shines, somebody who people look at, who people think are beautiful or attractive, or for whatever reason, people are drawn to you and your energy. So this is definitely a very strong energy card. And Horus also can have to do with being popular, being looked at, being viewed. This is a card of beauty. So there's this idea, I would think in the health house, there might also be some considerations that you might be doing things for yourself that may be part of beautifying yourself, that might be part of that, or taking on health regimes. Some people may be going on a diet or something like that. There's something connected to health here, but also connected to your beauty, your charisma, people looking at you. So again, whether this has to do with a job situation, maybe you're anxious that people are not doing this, and this may be reassuring you that no, you are visible, you are viewed, you are liked. That's another possible angle of this. So take that again as it resonates. It could go in a number of different directions. Okay, so let's look at the 7th house. This is our Libra energy, and this is the house of relationships. So, okay, so what we have here is we have the Hathor card. Now, for women, when this card shows up, I mean, people who are perhaps in lesbian relationships, this could indicate a female partner. Or for men who are watching this could also indicate a female partner. Hathor person, even though she's very similar to the Empress, I feel like this is more of a card of a woman who, somebody who embodies womanhood on some kind of a spectrum. So she's either the woman who is very domestic, very homely, I guess, and I don't mean that in a looks way. I mean just somebody who's very makes you feel secure, kind of in a Queen of Pentacles kind of way. Somebody who is, giving, sharing, provides that sense of security. This can also be a woman who is extremely independent. Okay, so you've really got a spectrum here with Hathor. So it could be somebody coming into your life who is very, very strong, independent, and maybe makes you feel secure, whether male or female. Though this does have a strong female energy. It could be a man with a very strong, no, I don't want to, well, yeah, it could be a feminine energy that they're expressing very strongly, at least in this sense of being very domestic or very, very interested in being secure and permanent and in a space and putting down roots, rather than somebody who might be a player or somebody who's running around or whatever. Now we have this with the Four of Cups. So Four of Cups, I mean, in Crowley deck, this is the card of luxury, but there's definitely the idea here of options and of having options. But there's this sense of dissatisfaction. We're either not seeing something that's being held out to us, or we're reluctant to accept what's being held out to us. So there's this, again, in the Rider-Waite version, you have somebody sitting like this, staring at 3 cups, while the hand from the Ace of Cups, which is new love, is holding a cup right out to this person, but this person's not looking. They're looking over here. The cup is over here. So it may be saying to you that there could be some kind of an opportunity that you don't want to miss, or that maybe you're reluctant to accept. There's some sense of dissatisfaction. For some people, this could be boredom with something. I don't know, but within a relationship situation, there's either an opportunity you're not looking at or you're missing, or one that you're reluctant to accept in some way for whatever reason. I mean, we're in the fours, where Four of Cups is one where fours have to do more with like a stasis. We're not being stuck, but being in an initial stage of completion. But Four of Cups being this emotional energy, it can be very restless. And it's the idea of, okay, I have this thing, but it's not really enough for me right now. I want something else. For some women, this could mean that maybe they feel like they're stuck in a home situation and they say, you know what, I want to break out and do something different. That could be an aspect of it. Or it could be suggesting that a very strong sense of independence may make you reluctant to accept a certain offer. There's all kinds of, again, there's possibilities there. You need to take it as it resonates. If you're not in a relationship situation, this may mean that you may have options that maybe you're not sure about. If you are in a relationship, you could be feeling restless and bored. If this has to do with a business partnership or something like that, there still could be a sense of dissatisfaction or wanting to do something new. So that's, again, to take that as it resonates. 8th house is Scorpio energy. And okay, as I mentioned, this is the house of birth, death, transformation, other people's money. And yeah, we have the twins here. So there's this idea of, to me, this is the idea of being supported of other people's money. That comes into my mind right away. I mean, now what this could be also, people could be in a transformation that relates to relationships or a particular relationship. So if you are somebody who is used to going it on your own, this may mean that your next, I'll use the phrase karmic task, but please use that advisedly. I'm being a bit loose with that phrase. May be about working with other people or about relating to other people. So if you're one of those people who's been determinately single, it may be saying, well, it is time for you to think about coming into relationship with others, whether that's in a friendly way, whether that means reconnecting with family, whether that means with love, whatever it is, there's this idea of connection to somebody, either financially, or it's just, this is part of whatever transformation you're going through. Yeah, and you have it with the 7 of Cups, which is the card of debauchery here in the Crowley deck. And this can be almost an oversaturation. It's too many options. Usually this is a card that shows somebody looking at like all of these cups kind of in the sky with all these weird different things coming out of them. So there's a lot of options here. Sometimes 7 of Cups has been interpreted in more modern times as having to do with something that happens online or a communication that's online or something that you do in that way. But there may be a sense right now, and again, seeing that over the 4 of Cups, there's definitely this relationship vibe that there's something like you don't know what's real and what's not real. 7 of Cups often is this idea that there's too many options and many of them have potential, but some of them may just be nonsense. So it's where do you how trying to make that determination about where you need to be, what the reality is. But there is, so I would recommend in that kind of a case, you want to keep your feet on the ground to some degree. It's okay to take that kind of Piscean type energy. Well, let's see, this card is actually Venus and Scorpio, okay? So, and we're in the Scorpio house with that. So Venus and Scorpio is, yeah, there's this idea of going deep with something. There may be going deep with the idea of relationships or what relationship means or dealing with a relationship lesson of some kind. But you're still maybe a lot of confusion right now. So it is making you aware of that. Okay, ninth house is Sagittarius energy. And this is about long distance travel. It can have to do with higher education. So if you are somebody who works in a university, or if you're going to college, or you're thinking about going back to school or something, or you're just engaging with deeper things of life. Okay, that's a lot of the energy of this house. It's about, Sagittarius is about digging deep into what meaning is in your life. And again, but it also may have to do with long distance travel and literally with school in higher ed sense. Okay, so we have Scarab here. Scarab indicates a new beginning. So for somebody, this is going to mean a transformation in terms of their life philosophy and how they look at things. What's the right word I'm looking for? It's going to have to do with how you see the world. If you've been operating under a certain script, there may be changes coming that now you're going to start looking at things differently or thinking about things differently. It has some of the energy of the Hanged Man to me, in the sense of you have to take a different perspective on things. But it's beyond the Hanged Man, because this is an actual change. It is an actual shift. This has a little bit more in common with the Death card, because it has to do with making an actual shift. And that's where it seems to be. It's either going to be with your core beliefs. It could be a big change that comes when you make a long trip. That may apply for some people. And it also could just be the idea of expanding your horizons and learning new things. Again, that are of a deeper level, not of a superficial level that we see in the third house. Now we have this with the Five of Wands, which is strife. Okay, so Five of Wands, okay, that has to do with struggle or conflict. It can mean other people getting involved in your situation and making it more complicated, and not, so you feel like you're struggling or you're competing with other people. You may feel sometimes there's little quarrels with this, although with the Wands, it's different from Swords. Five of Wands, it is a little bit fiery, but there's more of a playful energy to it. When you see this card, again, in the Rider-Waite version, you have people with sticks, but they're stick fighting. They're not killing each other with swords. It's more playful. I guess there's still some damage that can be done, but it's considered to be a quarrel or an outside influence that's not that serious, but maybe having a bearing on the situation. So but with Scarab, I have a feeling whatever this game playing is over here is going to come to an end. So that may apply for certain people, but yeah, you may be feeling anxious or put upon by the influence of other people telling you to do stuff right now. 10th house is Capricorn. That's Saturn energy. And yeah, okay. So we've got Sirius, which is a traditionally Saturn ruled, actually. This card is connected to Aquarian energy. And so to see Sirius in the 10th house means that you've got to roll up your sleeves and get to work. There's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some work to be done. For some people, this could be literal physical work and physical labor, because Sirius does have to do with, physical effort. But in mental level, it has more to do with innovation, like thinking outside the box. How am I going to do things differently? It's in the house of Capricorn, so there's a challenge not to do things the same old way. And how do you solve a problem this has to do with your career, your reputation, how people see you. Maybe you are doing something online. Maybe you're not feeling like you're getting as much attention or getting the results that you want from something. So this may be saying you need to take a different approach, look at it differently, look at the problem differently. Now we have it with the Seven of Swords. Okay, so this is the futility card. And this often comes up when we feel sabotaged. It can come up when, and again, this could be external influences, or it could be us. We could be sabotaging it ourselves because we may be going, oh, I can't do this or whatever. But also, I don't know, when this is the moon in, this is also moon in Aquarius. So we've got double Aquarian energy here in the Capricorn house. This card also has an element of not approaching something directly. There's the idea of doing something through a different method. Typically again, going back to the Rider-Waite, it's a guy who's usually carrying a bunch of swords and kind of like he's sneaking away from something. There's the idea of gaining something through a non-traditional method. So to me, this has more to do with career advancement and your visibility. So you may, again, it's almost the same energy in terms of think outside the box and do something in a different way. And you might not want to do something in a very direct way. You may want to do something that is a little craftier, you know what I mean, for lack of a better word. And I don't mean that in a deceptive or cunning or duplicitous kind of a way. I mean it more in the sense of you trying to do, not necessarily doing things, using strategy. Strategy is really the right word for this. I feel like this is more of a card of strategy in this case. So we may, if we're not having the success that we want in our career, or we're not sure about a job or sure about what we're doing, it's maybe saying you need to look at the problem differently and try a different approach. Okay, 11th house, speaking of Aquarius, is the Aquarius house. Okay, so this has to do with friendships and your goals and your hopes. And okay, so I'm going to start with the Five of Cups, because the Five of Cups is the card of disappointment. Five of Cups has to do with letting go of the past. This is when we are in a situation, and again, this could have to do with a friendship we have to let go of. It could have to do with just a past attitude or a reflection on the past or holding on to the past that is holding us back from moving ahead with our goals. Or perhaps in a friendship situation, there could be issues with people relating to people or your networks that you're being held back emotional by some kind of an emotional past thing that is over and done with. This card usually shows somebody looking at 3 spilled cups and mourning those 3 spilled cups, but behind that person are 2 full cups and also a path to a bridge and to a new place. So the idea is stop focusing on the spilled cups, focus on where you're going and what you've got. Like the past is done, whatever is done, it can't be, you can't go back and go, rewind and do it over. So just let it go. I mean, whatever it is, it's time to think about letting something go. And we have it with Osiris. So Osiris is a card of solidity, of trusting your own judgment. Now, in connection with this card, again, this may be suggesting that you do have a stable situation, that, your friendships are stable, your networks are stable, your situation is stable, but you may be feeling some kind of sorrow or loss, or you may still, somehow, some kind of past energy may be affecting not only your friendships, but maybe your outlook towards what your goals are. And this may be reassuring you that things are basically stable. I mean, they may not be moving ahead in the way that you want, but they're not falling apart either. So you have a stable foundation that you're building. Don't let the past get in the way of continuing to build that, okay? And the 12th house is Pisces energy, and this is a Neptunian energy, so this has to do with escapism. It can have to do with things that are hidden. I feel for the most part that this house, unless you are planning to travel abroad, in which case this is also a house of foreign travel, but this house frequently just has to do with either what you're not seeing or what you're not showing to people, okay? And, what you're afraid of. So we have Isis here, okay? So this is a card. Isis has strong High Priestess energy, so there's definitely the sense of mystery, of things that are understood through intuition, and this is certainly a house of intuition. So you may be intuiting something. It may be something that makes you uncomfortable or nervous. It may also be a sign that you are being too hard on yourself in some way, because sometimes Isis comes up when we need some kind of, either we're caring for others or we need self-care. Self-care is more what comes into my mind. We may be focusing too much on the needs of others, and we may need to be thinking, and we may do that as an escape from dealing with our own stuff. So keep that in mind. Yeah, and we've got the 3 of Swords. So the 3 of Swords has to do with sorrow, with heartache, with loss and betrayal and trying to heal from and move past that. So for somebody here, this is about some kind of a past situation, some kind of past hurt, breakup, separation, rejection that is somehow informing you. And Isis, to me, there would indicate a need to work on healing that there's a need to get past this energy of, again, this energy of loss, this energy of feeling rejected, feeling alone, feeling like, you're not understood or not validated or not wanted. This is something that, even if it's not something you're really thinking about all the time, unconsciously, it may be informing what's going on. I've often said that the Three of Swords and the Five of Pentacles represent the two biggest things that get us, that we worry about. And the Three of Swords has to do with separation or being cut off and not being accepted or approved of. Five of Pentacles is fears about security, material security, having enough. It's that poverty fear. So those are the two big things. And so here, what we see reflected is more about our connections to other people, which is interesting because we have this in the 8th house, which may indicate that there are lessons coming up around relationships. Overall, okay, well, we have Earth overall, so that's good. Earth would remind us to keep grounded. It does promise security, if that's something we're worried about. It does promise financial gain. So this is good. I mean, there's this idea of stay grounded, stay practical, stay focused, and focus. And there's a promise here, or at least an intimation here of increase. I have it with the 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands is a card of swiftness. So this is about things moving very, very fast. It's Mercury in Sagittarius. Yeah, so there's a communication element. Again, we saw this idea of messages. There could be messages, opportunities, things coming in fast, fast, fast. Sometimes this card is called the Arrows of Love. For some people, this could mean a new relationship. But there's an idea that you want to keep your feet on the ground because something is coming in fast. And I do feel this month that that's going to have a lot to do with the eclipse and the eclipse season. So I'm definitely think that we're in for a big shift. So it's kind of saying, hold on to yourself, because there could be a lot of things that are going to be changing. And there's going to definitely be communications and messages coming in for a lot of people about that potentially could make you think about things or approach things in an entirely new way. So we're going to pull our extra card from an oracle deck, and today I'm going to use the Moonology deck. And let's just see what little extra advice we need. Yeah, this is interesting. The end of a tough cycle approaches. This is the full moon in Capricorn. So yeah, we are kind of in this insecure period, this kind of 9 of Wands energy of I'm tired and I want to be done with this. I want to move past this. And this is definitely a good omen that says that we are, we still have work to do. We still see this up in the 10th house. We're still feeling insecure about where we're going and whether or not we need to follow our bliss or how the seeds that we've planted are growing. But this says that we're going to soon see the fruits of what we've put out. So this is our extra little piece of advice for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you all next week.